We're live and recording.
All right, we're going to call this planning board meeting to order at 6:02 p.m. And I'd like to appoint Bill as alternate.
Could I make a suggestion?
You may.
Could we have him fill in for Bob Regan? Because I know for sure he's not coming tonight, just in case these other two gentlemen show up.
Yep, that'll work. Yep,
Makes sense.
Okay.
makes sense. All right, any changes to the agenda?
Since the agenda was posted, there are two changes. Number 3, the conceptual consultation. I received notice from Ryan Heath that he wanted to continue his case to October 19th. And under other business, 1 master plan committee update, I've included the most recent invoice from Tara Banford. And that's it.
I'll make a motion, we approve it as amended.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 All right, so I did read a note earlier from Jessica about case P20-20. Want to moving that up on the agenda?
Yes. So number 4, the request for extension, if Bob Strodel. And he is here. So he should just be a short conversation. If you want to do that.
Okay, yeah, so if it pleases the board, so move 4 up to number 1.
Okay.
Oh. Hi, and if you could just announce your name and
My name is Bob Strodel. I'm the executive director over Camp Brookwoods and Camp Deer Run. Thank you for allowing me to come here. Thanks for bumping me to the head of the class. I appreciate that. Last January, this group gave us permission to build a new cabin, which we called the Falcon Cabin. At the time, the price we received in that Falcon Cabin was $700,000. We updated the bids this summer to build it with the intent of starting it this fall. And the price came out to $1.3 million, roughly doubled. Obviously, due to COVID, the cost of the wood alone and the carpentry went from $313,000 to $999,000.
Yep.
So we honestly just don't have the money to start that build right now. At the same time, we don't want to have to come back and ask for an extension. So this is a kind of an open conversation. I suspect that we're not the only people on this boat.
Yeah.
I'd like to first formally ask for an extension to building the building, obviously without any changes, but whenever we can afford it. Beyond the 1 year we have, we're not going to be able to start it this January.
They've come down drastically in this last week. It's really great.
Yeah. It's starting to come down, but it's still.
so what kind of extension would you be looking for?
I would like a 2-year extension, if possible. And we think that within 2 years, 2 things will happen. Some of the prices will come down, and that's encouraging to hear some of that now. But also because of nonprofit, we have to fundraise for every dollar we build, and we're going to need some extension of time to build that up.
Right.
Okay, I mean, I think 2 years seems like an awful long time, but I'll entertain any.
Yeah, but
Are we limited to the timeframe that we can approve?
So ordinarily, you would just do a yearly extension.
Can we
Yeah.
give him a yearly extension on when his year would have run out?
We can review at that time.
Yeah, so
In other words, when
well,
you got the permit at what time?
January 2021.
this would go to January 23,
Yes,
this
sir.
extension.
Right. It expires January 18th of 22.
Well, I don't see a problem with going to January 23.
And then if,
And we have no problem with your cause is certainly good.
Right.
Yeah.
And
it's a good cause.
the logic is very sound. I'd be worried if you didn't pause.
Thank you. Thank you.
So do we have?
Make a motion to extend it to January 23.
Okay.
I'll
Do we-
second that.
We have a second. Any further discussion?
Just a question, do we need a date certain? Should it be January 18th, 2023?
I would do a date certain.
Okay, yeah, well, let's make it
I'll amend
the
my-
18th, yeah.
To the
Yeah,
18th.
and then if they need another extension, you can just come in front of us.
Mhm.
I mean, that camp's a great camp and it's a great asset to the town, so.
Yeah, if you feel like you need another extension, just request it like the month,
Okay, thank
the
you.
month before.
Appreciate that. Thank you.
Mhm.
Okay, so any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? All right.
Nope.
And thank you.
Thanks
Thank
very
you.
much.
The market's full.
Yeah. May the market decline.
Right.
Well, maybe the false market decline.
All right, so next before us is case number 2, completeness review application, case P 21-22.
We're not doing 2021, 21.
I'm sorry, 2021 was continued
Oh,
till next month.
okay.
I'm sorry.
Can you just announce the date?
It continued to October 19th, 2021.
Yes.
That's the date you
Okay.
want?
Yep.
Okay.
Well,
Now we're on the same page.
they requested it. Does that mean that we have to approve it, or how does that work?
Just resets the clock, so we'll do the design.
We don't
reviews.
have to approve of that request, is what you're saying, as a board,
I don't believe we have to, no.
just
No.
as, okay.
Yeah.
No, you
Just
don't.
Kind of a procedural, more of a public
There's no
announcement.
reason Not
Yeah.
to, if we're
No,
resetting the clock.
I'm just wondering what the.
Right, as long
procedure
as
was.
it's just announced at the meeting,
Okay,
so that if any abutters were here, they would know.
all right.
Okay, so, sorry about that. So going back, case P 21-22, and this is a request for a final minor site plan to expand the current food truck business that will be housed in a 1,000+ square foot existing building, consist of indoor seating, will offer counter service cafe style food. So let's take a look at that.
Want me to step away from this one?
Yeah, so
Yeah,
you,
you should.
Yeah, I just want to let everyone know, I know Genevieve, we're neighbors. She's asked me questions about this and I directed it to Jess.
okay,
So
Well,
Yeah.
if all you've done is direct her to the planner,
that's what I did.
but they're also friends, so.
He
Yeah,
wants to.
so I,
They-
I
if you
yeah.
want to step down, you
They-
can, but I mean,
Yeah,
I
I
don't
think
think,
it's,
I don't want
I
to cause,
recommend it.
I don't want to cause any problems for her,
No.
you know, so I don't want any conflict. I don't want any problems,
Right.
you know.
I recommend that, yeah,
Okay.
so that's a good move, so.
Okay.
Yeah, so if you would, and you actually have to move away from the table to be
Okay.
official about it, so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks, Bill.
I'll come sit over here.
normally I would say that, we're all gonna have neighbors, but unless you, I mean, a lot of people approach me and I say, I can't talk to you about a case, so I'll send them to Jess. In one particular case, a guy was dying and I said, okay, his wife actually put the application in, but the concept was I wanted to walk him through it. So he knew exactly what he was doing. And I knew there would be no problem with it. And, but I mean, normally you don't get involved in any of the cases in any way.
You should avoid any potential conflict of interest, anything that could have repercussions to the town or the applicant, so. Yeah. Okay, so Jess, you wanted to give us a quick overview?
Okay, so after reviewing the plan, I actually reviewed it with Genevieve. She came in actually a couple times that we went over and made sure that everything was there. I don't find that anything's missing. And she did submit a waiver request to not have to submit a major site plan. And reason being is a major site plan application is required if you have 750 square feet or more. But since there's no construction going on, nothing, structurally is changing, she submitted a waiver for that, which I see often.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the waiver request. Or,
Second.
to make it not a major site plan.
I'll second that.
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to accept the application as complete.
Second.
Any discussion? No, hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Aye.
Get into it.
All right.
Mr. Chairman, there's just two things I wanted to note. There's an updated parking plan, which is page 606. It's not writ, I don't think it's written on your plan. So it's the very last page. So that's an updated parking plan. And Genevieve also emailed me and was requesting the hours of operation to increase from 7 to 4 to 6 to 8.
That's cutting down on a lot of sleep.
You don't get much sleep when you have a restaurant. anyway.
No.
All right, so you guys want to come up and do the presentation?
Hot seat.
Just announce
Yep,
yourselves.
you can announce your name.
Yep. Go ahead.
Genevieve Michaud.
Scott Michaud.
So you have most of what I have in front of you. And then the updated parking plan that you saw. So at the time, I didn't have our sign. So the sign that's in there is kind of the logo for our food truck, but this is going to be the actual sign that's building.
Yeah, that's right.
We collaborated with River Run this summer, so I don't know if any of you stopped in over there, but
Sure did.
yeah, so I
Any-
felt like it was very successful, and we made, changes to Vicky's current menu, kind of brought in what we thought we might have down at the cafe, and it was very successful. And so we're hoping we can kind of carry that on right down the street, down to the cafe. It's 4 miles down. So in a different part of Alton where really there is nothing to
Right.
be had or seen anywhere. So we really think it'll be an asset. And
It'll make me drive farther for my sandwiches.
further, you have to go further. Yeah. Some people it'll be closer, others it'll be further. But yeah, so we're really excited. We got a great feedback this summer, and tweaked things as we went along to see, how we can make it better at the cafe. And
This is the old Half Moon site?
yes,
Yep.
yeah,
The
yeah,
famous Half Moon.
Nice to see it being opened again and
Yeah.
worked.
yeah. And a lot of people, I mean, so last summer during COVID, I parked my truck out there, and I think every person who ever went to the Half Moon store stopped by. I was like, oh, what are you doing? And I heard stories of the store and I don't know, pizza place and the gas station. And some people was like, oh, we used to come here for ice cream, or we came here for penny candy. I feel like it was probably all the store, but
Yeah.
they were kids when it happened. So I think they were, but so, I hope we can make that happen, make it kind of like a place where people in 30 years from now look back at it as, oh, we used to go to this cool place and let's stop by there. And so we hope we can bring those fond memories back to that space.
So just to clarify, you're going to keep your store up here as well?
At River Run?
Yeah, yeah.
No, so we were just collaborating for the summer.
Okay, all
Yeah,
right. So everything's going to be down at the
Yes.
corner then?
Yep.
When you say you have a food truck, does that mean it moves?
Yeah, so I own a food truck, so I own.
I was unaware. that there was-
Yeah, so yeah, it's a little red like van. I've actually been in town a few times for their different,
I mean, do you use
Events.
it for catering or?
Yep.
All right, all right.
yep, that's exactly, yeah. So we do weddings and corporate events and parties. Yeah.
Right. So there was a couple of things that jumped out at me in the plan of review. There was a conflict between your submission to DES.
Yep.
And your executive summary submitted with this application.
For the employees.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, so when we did the septic plan, it's how many employees on premise at one time. So the employees I'm talking about 2 to 4 would be part-time. And what I spoke when we were doing the septic, that's like how many people are on, how many employees, not including myself, are on premise. So those would be rotating through, really, especially in the summer, like if those hours are more like, so, you know, I put those in there so that we could be open in the summer extended hours. So that's why that's the difference.
Okay. So the idea is that during normal operating hours, it's you and one other employee, and
Yeah,
then they'll go to school or
right.
whatever, be replaced from somebody coming home from school.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The other thing that jumped out at me was your sign.
Yep.
You have it listed as 12 foot wide by 6 foot high.
I actually just went by the guidelines that were offered to me. Those are
It's 12
so-
square feet.
So it's 12 by 6 was what it said was allowed in the rural area.
Yeah, actually, it's 12 square feet total,
Oh, okay.
with
Because
the
it said.
width not to exceed 6 feet. So,
Okay.
Yeah,
So
I know.
12.
2 feet high. About 6.
So 2 feet. Okay.
yeah,
All right. So I mean, honestly, I just put, because I wanted to make sure I got an approval before I put any money into anything. So I was just like, okay, well, it'll just be this size. Okay. So,
The fact that there's a car in the parking lot will attract people's attention,
Oh, yes.
yeah.
let alone a truck with a sign on it.
Right. Okay. So that will be,
okay.
we'll fit into whatever the guidelines are.
Yep.
misread it.
Great,
And we
great.
have a request from Scott Kidman to to clearly mark the plat on the paved area and delineation of the drivers, so Prospect Mountain Road is clearly marked somehow.
Yeah, so the updated parking plan, you'll see, we're actually just going to paint that right on the entrance and exit in the middle. I don't know what that's called, that,
Yeah, I
like,
don't,
Like an island, yeah.
yeah,
These will all be painted.
Well, that's, well, that's
The
what I'm wondering.
arrows can't be too big
it can't be
That's what
too
I'm
big.
wondering if we should
because
have a
nobody
mark
reads them.
for the driveway and the road,
so if you're coming up
for
from the,
drivers, you know what I mean?
if you're coming up from the
So you have a
south,
clear entrance going into Prospect
28.
Mountain.
to get into this facility, you go down Prospect Mountain Road a little bit and turn in.
Yes.
Correct.
Okay, so that would need to be clear to people because I think in the past, they just kind of pulled in.
Well, even
Yes, they-
they cut that corner sort of
Yeah.
in the driveway too.
Yeah.
And that's what I think Scott's worried about is getting that, the entranceway for Prospect Mountain Road clearly marked out somehow, whether it's a white line
Yeah,
or,
because people actually cut across their property to
Yes.
go up Prospect. Mountain.
yes. And that's what I think
Oh.
they're worried about, is to get that road defined out
Right.
so they come
Well,
up and
right.
turn.
And I think once.
Whether it's
um,
putting a
once the parking
planter or
lot
something on the
lines-
corner or
Yeah,
something to define that
okay,
as an entrance.
okay.
Yeah, so you're saying when people are coming southbound on 28 and they're going to turn up Prospect Mountain Road.
They go right across
go
the
right
parking
through
lot.
this, the
Oh,
parking
all the
lot.
time.
Yeah.
All the time.
Okay. See what else we got there. So there was one of the things that we need to look at is utilities. It was that made a note here that the existing utilities going to be sufficient for what you need to do as
Yes.
far as, was it propane and,
Yeah, so we'll be adding propane just for a range and then electric.
so you're
So
going to have
just-
to upgrade the electric? Is that what you think?
No,
Oh, okay.
no,
The propane is essential because there are days when the power's off and there are hungry people.
yeah.
Looking for baked goods.
Well, and having been
Lost
in the
power
restaurant
in the
industry for
restaurant
so
for 3
long, I was so frustrated when we went to register, like electronic registers, because every restaurant closes now because they can't use the register.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
Well, that's
this
'cause-
is when you're supposed to be open, is when the power
Exactly.
goes out because people
Yeah, but-
need to eat.
that's because the kids can't count change.
I know. My kids can, by the way.
Bread oven
Oh, yeah, so, yeah. well,
outside.
What'd you say, outside?
No.
Bread oven outside? All right, I'll keep it in mind.
Oh.
I'll ask the planning board.
The classic French Canadian
Yep.
covered, I mean, they're everywhere up there.
Mm-hmm.
Wood fired?
Yep. Start the fire, rake it out, all the bricks get hot,
So,
Yeah.
what do you have plans for lighting, like at parking areas and,
Yep. And so it currently has lighting, but when I was reading the guidelines, it said that you don't want what's there,
Yeah.
the high sodium, whatever.
yeah,
So of course, that was what's there. So, which actually seemed to be fine, but I ordered,
The principle is to keep the light on the property so it doesn't
Right.
affect the driver going by.
right.
Or a neighbor's house or anything.
Yeah, I'll show you.
or passing airplanes?
Right. Of course, I have to find it. Moved stuff. Hold on, I do have it. Yes, it was dropped out on the way here. I don't think it's, oh, is it connected to this? No.
There it is.
It is, yeah. So these are the dawn to dusk, so they have the photocell, so they'll turn off during the day. And they are, this is what they look like. So it was wanted them to like point down.
So these are
That's the-
mounted on the structure,
Yes.
not on poles or
Right, so
anything?
they'll
out in
be where the
structure.
current ones are. There's one that lights, there's one that lights the parking lot on this side. And then there's one in the front that lights this side. If you can see. So this one is right on the building and it lights this part. And then this one is in the front on the building that lights. I don't
Can
know.
I
if you-
get a copy of that lighting, the lights that you
Yes,
have?
yeah.
Yeah, that.
All right. Board have anything, any other questions or? Just to be clear, there's no, you're not proposing any entry to the site from 28, only an exit
Yes.
onto 28, okay.
Where is the exit going to be?
I think it's right where that big black
Oh,
arrow
I
is
think
right
you're-
there.
Oh, I don't have that one.
Yeah, it should be the last page. It was
Yeah, it's
added
in the
at the very
parking
end.
plan.
Ah.
So that's the updated site plan.
I don't know how you're gonna keep people from not pulling in there. That's a,
Right.
Yeah, so I mean, we discussed all that with the department, the highway department, the state.
Yeah.
So I mean, that we're doing what they suggested to do.
If you have a problem with that down the road, come back to us and we'll gladly help you change it. But I mean,
Right.
I foresee, unless there's somebody out there stopping them, I don't see them not going in.
Right.
No,
And I'm hoping,
they're gonna do it anyways.
Just remember, did
It's
the
just,
state mandate the egress, or did they allow both ingress and egress, and we modified the plan more in the name of safety?
Yeah, I think the state simply refers to it as a driveway.
Yeah, I think that was, so we had a lot of debate as it related to safety on that corner
yeah, I mean,
and just making the site as safe as possible. So I don't know that the state mandated it. I think we may have just taken that step to really focus on it as an egress versus an entrance, just to get that traffic off 28 as quickly as
the
possible.
difficult part is sometimes people coming from Concord,
Right, they might.
they're gonna want to jump in where the parking is right now because they want to get off at high speed,
right, right. Well, if they're going south, hopefully if they're going north from Concord, hopefully they'll just pull right into Prospect Mountain, hopefully. I mean,
That's using logic.
yeah, I know. And I mean, so currently there aren't lines in the parking lot. So hopefully having the lines, having the arrows
I
will
think at
more
first,
define it.
You'll have to see whether or
Right.
not you're gonna have to put something out there
Right.
as
Right,
visual
right.
blockers
Visual cues and,
Yeah, if you're coming in, pulling in and you're not gonna see.
for
the
your own
lines,
safety.
right,
You're not gonna see
Absolutely,
the
yeah.
lines, yeah. I would think what Tom's talking about, some sort of either planters or
Yeah.
something across there.
yeah.
We had talked about that as a possibility too.
Mhm.
Yeah, because the state does limit you to 16 feet in width. So, and right now you have the whole property as just about the whole length of the
Well,
property. is,
there are property markers. There's metal pins in the ground that the state actually showed us as to where the property line was, where we made sure that the parking lines were
Yeah.
inside of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't see any problems.
Before you
There we
make a
go.
motion, you have to come up with active and substantial development and substantial completion of improvements.
And public input.
Yep.
So the hard with the active and substantial because it's there.
Right. I mean, I don't know, that is too, as we've already discussed, is the parking area
Yeah.
and marking out that road somehow.
Right, you could include attaching the new lighting. It's a couple things you could put on there.
And also, in a sense, imagine it's a snowy day and no one can see the lines.
Right,
Assume the worst. I hate to
Right.
say it, but
Yep.
True.
yeah.
That's a good point.
Well, I mean, then I think the nice thing is we'll hopefully be open before
Snow comes.
winter and we can really vet out what people are doing. I mean, so
Right.
part of it is, not.
Trial
being
and error.
there. Yeah, and I want to,
Put up
Like-
a camera.
right. Well, and what Scott had said, like, we're really trying to make it more safe than what was
Right.
proposed to us by the state. We really want, obviously, I don't want somebody pulling out after getting something and getting in an accident. So I think if we could see what happens when we can see where the cars are pulling in.
And
pulling
adjust to
out,
it.
And how, right. And then, okay, this is where they pull in. Let's put a sign there so that they stop doing.
It's just, I'm
it's hard to
remembering the
know.
past history of how people used to use the
Oh, yeah.
property.
Right,
And that's what is, I'm worrying for you,
Right.
not for the
Right.
town or anybody.
Also too, I mean, if we stay with the same snow removal plan that we had for last year, when I plowed, I left the banking by the road. I
Yeah.
pulled the plow this way and pulled it all towards the two areas where you see the snow on the plan and pulled all that snow down, but I left a little bit of the banking there just as a little bit of a,
That's
I
good,
didn't
'cause
plow
it
right.
breaks
on it.
people into,
and the state
that's
does
the
that too.
entrance.
Yeah, and the state does that.
The state
too.
leaves the banking there
Yeah.
too. So,
That's a great idea.
Yeah.
Simple and functional.
Yep.
mhm.
Weren't there in the past, I remember years ago, weren't there some bad accidents on that corner?
The road has been changed on.
Yeah.
There are a lot of trees that have been taken down in the corners.
Yeah, a lot of it, they have trouble coming out of Dudley Road.
Right.
We used to have accidents there off of Dudley.
And we really did do, I mean, a pretty extensive with the state, like the line of sight and, you know, and now like I'm in and out of there a lot. I'm not there extended amount of times, but when I do pull out, I really try to pull it out of like a bunch of different spots to like see, okay,
So
you know, somebody just does this where, how, I mean, and you really can see pretty much from the whole front of the property, you can see
Right
all the
down
way
in.
down to, there's an arrow where you can start seeing the first car and it is all the
How
way
many
around
are
the
doing the
corner.
speed limit when they go by?
I was told that did not reflect anything, that people should be driving the speed limit, so.
Should be. but-
All right, so conditions precedent would include, I guess, so, well, we talked about working hours adjustment, right?
Yep.
The sign size, 2 employees at a time. Delineation of property line at Prospect Mountain Road and the lighting. Yep. Did I miss anything?
I don't think so.
So that's a sign size, 2 employees, lighting, designation of access.
Yes, well, it was mostly the delineation at Prospect Mountain Road to try and prevent that kitty corner cutting.
Yep.
We should open this up for public comment. Oh, anybody from the public?
And we adjusted the hours.
We have
Should be hours.
one hand went up.
Yep.
You have to come up and
You
speak.
got into the microphone, Kelly. Come on.
Say your name and.
Kelly Sullivan, hi. So I just think it's a wonderful idea. It's a pre-existing building. It's already been in business and it's another business in town, which is good business for the town.
Good
So
sandwiches.
I say, welcome.
Thank you. All right.
But it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks. All right. Anybody else? That will close the public portion. So does the board have anything else you want to add, comment?
Make a motion.
I'll entertain a motion.
Make a
Active and
motion.
substantial,
I'm sorry?
active and substantial development.
For active and substantial. I'll make a motion to approve, and the following is to be included in the active and substantial. The correction of the sign size, the fact that there will only be 2 employees at any one time. The lighting will be redesigned, and the designation at Prospect Mountain Road will be organized.
And the hours of operation extended.
Hours of operation extended. Thank you.
I'll second that.
All right. Discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
Good luck.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Forward to it.
Thank
Good
you.
luck.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, and if you can just send me a copy of that lighting
Let me
sheet
just-
that you had.
The light fixture.
Do you want me to just give it to you now?
You
Or
could
do
do
want
that
it in
too.
email? I can just give it to you. Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Bill, you looking pretty comfortable back there?
He was staying on that.
That is the, so far in my inventory of the comments for improvement in town, one of the highest lists so far is more restaurants, better food. It's amazing, you know,
Wow, yeah.
I'm making an inventory of all the comments because when you start here, there are, I can't remember now, 50 pages? There are 50 pages of 3 rows of comments.
Wow.
And I mean,
Nice.
Got a lot of comments. I think we got
Yeah.
good input this time.
Good.
Nice.
but, you know, an inventory is important because you get lost reading them.
Yeah.
You find
All right.
contradictory things.
Let's keep going on our cases, and I think we have that on our agenda anyway, right? To
Yes, Mr.
master
Chairman,
plan.
can I just state for the record that I believe Roger's on vacation still? It just dawned on me. I think he mentioned that at the last meeting. He was going to be out
Who?
on vacation.
Roger.
Oh. Oh, yeah,
So
he did
I
say,
just-
he did say something.
Yeah, yes.
I never listened to him anyway.
That's why I haven't seen him.
So the next case on our list actually is, was case P 2123, and the applicant has requested this to be continued to October 19th, 2021. So moving on to case P 21-24. This is conceptual consultation. Brad Jones, agent for SADCO, Sadco, Site Development. John Matarazzo. This is the boat store, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
24.
21-24.
It's actual boat storage. It's actual boat storage.
Actual boat storage. Yes.
Is there a non-actual?
So I think the board has seen this, but this is a new one. This is kind of a new layout for this.
Yeah, so I'm Brad Jones. I'm with Jones Beach Engineers, and the plan has been brought in front of the zoning board for zoning board relief. So this is this plan kind of evolved based on that. We have not been in front of the planning board yet.
All right, so Brad, why don't you walk us through
Sure.
with the,
So you all have plans in front of you. This is plan C, and this shows the grading and paving. So in orange is the storage building. 28. Here is the New Hampshire Co-op. Actually, the New Hampshire Co-op. Property. Entrance that exists today, it's already been installed. Small wetland crossing that is permitted as part of the subdivision of these two pieces of property. That culvert's in, the driveway's been built up to this point right here. So at this point, not considering any more wetland disturbance. All the work's been done prior, so we're not asking for any wetland permits with the state or anything. In pink here is the gravel access and parking. Back in green, see our drainage, which goes back into a stormwater pond. Eventually go back into the large wetland on the rear of the property. Part of the zoning board process, we did come up with a voluntary buffer, and that's shown, kind of see a wooded buffer, tree line back in here. And the town of Alton has a 25-foot setback from wetlands. We've expanded that and hold this line, and the only reason we're going back in here is for stormwater. Try to create a larger than normal buffer. The buildings are going to be situated, there's quite a cut in here to put the building in, so there's going to be retaining walls. And it's going to be a kind of a fill back in here. So just driving on Route 28, looking to the site, you're not going to see a massive building. gonna be kind of set in the ground, and this one's on end. Looking at the side of the building, it's in the site, almost to the site. So it's really gonna be something that's
And
not gonna be
very,
very visible as you drive by. You're not gonna just do have some landscaping screening that we're gonna put in here. This is a private drive, Henderson Drive, that runs back alongside, so we're trying to kind of create a screening and leave a buffer, natural buffer, property line in there. At this point, we're only considering this point, Route 28. First, we went to the ZBA, we did have a second access point or more for emergency, and asked to remove that, so we do not have access on Everson Drive. So then, right now for permits, we are gonna have to, the size of the project with an AOT. DOT will have to amend the DOT permit, and then we need a small office in front, so we're gonna need a small septic design and planning board as well. I do apologize, the owner, developer, Dave, from Satco, Dave Fuller, he was gonna make the meeting, wasn't able to make it. He apologized, we were gonna cancel, but we figured at
It's
least.
more important that he sends you.
Yeah, that's right, so, but he said, but he absolutely will be here in the next meeting, so.
So when I went through the packet earlier, unless I missed something, there was nothing talking about the building heights or design or shape, I mean, well, rectangular.
Yeah.
So can you give us any insight as to where that's heading?
Yeah, the buildings will meet the height requirements, so they're gonna be less than 35 feet. And the buildings actually have an end load, so there's gonna be a door on the end of these buildings, and they go in and load the boats through one location. On the
Equal,
lot,
run the center of the long.
that's right.
All right.
Yeah, and then they stack them in left and right back in there. The buildings themselves, they are steel building, and we do have kind of a tentative architectural plan. We're working on getting a architectural plan for those, colors and that type of thing to bring to the board for the next meeting. So
Green, camo.
yeah, I'm not exactly sure the color, but we will try to, it will not be hot pink or as far as I know. So.
No, just in reading so far, the comments, what seems to be very important in town is they want more business. They don't want to see it,
Absolutely.
And you're set back off the road, which is nice.
Yeah.
And I mean, any planning that you could do on the front property there, would be fabulous, but I mean, I guess what it is, there seems to be an aversion to anything that represents, big box,
Yep.
chain, anything like that. So the more that seems to blend in, or that you don't notice, but is there, that seems to me to be the most popular design you can possibly get. I know we don't have it all written out, but that's where I think we're gonna have to go, because that certainly reflects the comments that I'm reading in these comments from the questionnaire that we had. I mean, I think you see it anyway.
I do, and I think the difference is if you're building a store, a retail, you want to have visibility. Something like this, we're not looking for somebody to come by. Oh, geez, there's my boat storage.
yeah.
I mean, they'll know it's there, but
Nobody has trouble finding Hannaford, and it's not obvious from the street.
That's right.
I mean, if, people will find you.
Do you have a sign design, Bert?
we do not. No, and that will be at this point positioned out at the entrance in that road. One thing to mention is that kind of pink scribble on the side of the entrance. That's all a wetland in there. So that is going to be protected and not cut. So you mentioned leaving a buffer, and that's
Yeah.
going to be a natural
it's there,
buffer.
yeah. One other question, how many boats are going to be stored and what's the maximum length?
I thought it would be 400 boats and they'd be up to 32 feet,
Three racks or something like
3
that?
racks. Yep. And the storage itself is set up for a company to come in and run the storage. It's not for people to drop boats off, have them
Right.
shrink wrapped and then put in and washed, and none of that's going to happen on site. This is strictly for somebody that's already processed the boats, brings them in and puts them in.
No. So
in
some marina
storage.
might contract with them to bring their boats over.
That's right. Yeah, it's not just, anybody that wants to come in and drive in and drop their boat off. So there will not be that kind of, so it's going to be very organized and as far as, boats coming in and out, it's on schedule.
So there won't be any, you said no servicing of the boats either, so we don't have to worry about oil changes and all that stuff. And
No, at this point, there's none of that, not even shrink wrap washing or anything like that. There's no facilities for that, so.
Just
If
storage.
the driveway is gravel, I hope you don't have a forklift driving on the gravel.
Well, that might be something that
They want to think about.
that they want to think about. Yeah. And I'm not sure. I mean, some of these forklifts, they're huge. They
Yeah, you have the all-terrains now.
all-terrain
and-
hard
yeah.
tires.
yeah, solid tires.
So, yeah.
Yeah, you got some tough grades to contend with.
Yeah.
It is tough. Yeah.
Is that ledge in there? So you're gonna have to blast?
We've done some test pits. A lot of it's glacial till. And
Yeah.
of course, Dave Fuller's in the excavation business, so it'll,
Just remember, town used to haul out of Bob Green's right down by the electric company now.
okay.
We used to use that pit.
What was
Bob
it?
Green had it,
Was it gravel or?
sand, a lot of sandy towards the backside towards Eagle Rest.
You used to crack open engines.
We used to
down
use that
there.
up because that was more gravelly over that side where Eagles Rest is.
How is its status right now, the green property?
Electric company. And then they have one house down below the electric company where Bob used to have his house down.
But I mean, at one point it was as like a brownfield.
Yeah,
But I mean, I have no idea what the status of, that's not developable land, is it?
well, they could develop it down in there. I mean, anything's
I mean, well,
developable.
has it been cleaned up?
Oh, yeah, that's all been cleaned up, all been dug out and
Okay.
all the school buses unburied and, Tires and gas
I had
tanks.
no idea.
Yeah.
So that's why I asked.
yeah, they went
Some people
in,
may not even know that it was a.
yeah, they went in, dug all through there, took the buses out, everything out. Yeah,
I was out on the end of Emerson Drive.
yeah. That used to be a big
There's
junkyard.
Stormwater pond down there, so I wonder if
Yeah.
they created that at the same time. So-
Yeah, because that used to be junkyard and
All right.
everything down in there.
So
As we dug the sand out, we brought in buses and trucks and whatever else we'd get parts off of.
yeah, I started the grades real challenge. It looks like you're gonna need some guardrails here as well added in. And it's gonna be one heck of a foundation wall there as you get to that back right-hand corner of that big building.
Yeah, and I think next time we come in, you'll see that evolve.
Yeah.
That was our first stab at it. We really got to look at that, a little better. And, but yeah, we'll make sure we have all the guardrails that are necessary and the grading. I think I can make that a better situation than it is now. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I love the idea that the whole building's slab is sitting 15 foot below the entry,
Sure.
but that
I think
just
it'd make a big-
adds more problems and
Adds more problem, but I think it'll make a big difference with the site. and
Oh, yeah.
everything.
If that's
Absolutely.
sand, you're okay.
only
If there's
got
any
20 foot
clay,
building.
look out.
Yeah, no, I believe it. I don't think we'll have that kind of soil issue. And even if there's some ledge, it's not like the worst thing in the world.
Yeah,
So but I mean, it looks like what? It's only 14 feet? But Drew, you're saying that's a real 14 feet is a lot?
no, I'm saying that the slab being 14, 15 foot below the entrance is going to be great from the road's perspective because you only see in the top,
Right.
20 feet of the building. But you're also, everything's feeding down toward that building
Oh,
as
yeah.
well. So
Right.
there's challenges and I know we can overcome them.
So One other thing I just think about, now you say there's 400 boats in here. And some of them are 30 feet long, up to 32 feet, is that?
Yes.
Yeah, 32 feet long. So, and you've got to get a driveway permit with the state?
There is a driveway permit in place, but where it's a change of use, we have to amend that permit. So we have site distance and all that with, there's no.
I'm
issue.
just, your 28 is pretty busy through there. It's pretty, people drive pretty fast on it. But on either end of the season, when the boats are either coming out or going in, this could be, with a big boat like that coming out of there, and a hauler and stuff. I don't know, something to consider.
Yep.
You might want to have a wider entry
Yeah, like a
so that you
almost
can
a
turn
decel
a
vein.
vehicle and start at an angle rather than start 90 degrees from the road.
Yeah, the state allows only a certain width.
Right, but I mean, you can
But
still
you
have
can
on,
radius it out,
Yeah.
and I agree that they do not like decel and acceleration lanes because people get half into them, and then it's even worse if somebody's like half into a lane. So,
no, but for a truck hauling,
yep,
it's so much easier if you're starting off at an angle as opposed to
Sure.
90 degrees.
sure. And yeah, and I agree. We'll make sure that entrance.
Your access doesn't have to be any wider. It's just that
Yeah.
the preparation on the just back of the road.
And that will be paved, the skirt going on to that is a requirement with the state. So there will be a section of pavement in there. So they'll be not on gravel when they make that maneuver.
Yeah, and I think it's, when you do full disclosure to the state for what's going to be going in and out, I mean, they'll take that into consideration.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, they don't let much slide.
No.
You seem to have it pretty well covered.
Yeah.
Yeah, part of the zoning board process, we did have the buildings orientated differently. And we met with the two abutters on Emerson Drive, and based on their concerns, we did rearrange the buildings. So that's what you're seeing today. It was based on conversations with the abutters and trying to work with them. So I think at this point.
Especially if you want power.
That's right. And they weren't really more of an issue. It was more the residents, and, so we took their concerns into consideration.
So I'm just looking at where the road comes in now, and you've got map 9 lot 6-1, and this one is what? What is this lot? Anyway, so when you're building, where is the property line in relation to the road coming in?
It's actually on the center of the road. That's a common access.
It'll be a common access, okay.
And that was set up when they subdivided, of course, we don't own the 9-6-1. That's another piece of property.
It
there.
says John Matarazzo.
That's correct. John owns that, yeah.
So in addition to the traffic that would be going in and out of here for the boat business, there could be something else coming in and out of here. And that.
Well, he uses it for log
Yes.
storage. He uses it on the front part of that lot.
For logs, right, but it could be something else in the future, right?
It could, and they will have to go in front of DOT and same thing, amend that driveway permit. So depending on the use, I mean, DOT will look if it was, say, a 99 restaurant, which it won't be, but then they would go back and change, then they could go back and relook at the entrance and all that. And they would if it was something drastic, so.
Yeah, I just didn't understand to clarify that the middle of the access road straddles that property line. Okay.
Yeah, because that used to have another entrance up when all the trailers were there. There was a circle there. They had, I don't know, 6 or 8 trailers in there.
Yep.
Johnny first got it and cleaned it up.
And it is good because now it's a common entrance, so we're not, or else it would have been 2 driveways if
Right.
it was 2 different owners and doing their own thing, so.
All right.
I think it looks good.
Yeah, any more comments from the board?
Well, I think they put some thought into this one.
No.
Especially if you're going to have a professional core that's doing the boat storage, you're not gonna have to advertise much at all.
No.
I mean, obviously, a small sign is gonna be necessary, but you know, you may not even want to advertise.
It wouldn't be any, it's just contracting.
Yeah.
I mean, like,
Yeah.
any place you're taking your boat now, they're looking for storage. And they're
When
saying,
that,
we don't have a contract with this guy this year.
Yeah.
You're gonna have to go over here.
when that building is started, don't you worry, that'll already be filled before it's built.
Yeah, there's definitely a need for it.
Yeah.
And it's a benefit for everyone in town.
For
because none of these
everybody.
Boats are not scattered on people's yards. They're
Yeah.
gonna be, I think people can't get storage and that's why they leave, put your boat where you can. But this, yeah, so this will be a good thing and consolidate it and there's a need for it. Yeah.
Yep.
Will there, Scott's not here, I'll ask a question for him.
Yep.
Will there have to be any special fire prevention?
We are gonna meet with the fire department and there was a thought that there may even be a cistern and a sprinkler system. And the reason for that is not necessarily because the fire department dictates it. It's sometimes it's insurance regulations make it, for the insurance you pay is you're gonna save money by having that system. So that's still in the works and
Yeah.
under discussion, but I'll let you know that it's not like off the tables.
Right, good. No, I mean, because the other thing that will make a difference, especially in your insurance, whether or not gas is stored in the vehicles.
Yep,
Those boats will have gas and oil in them, right?
they
Yeah,
will.
they all do. Yeah.
So I'm just saying, it's worth it to you to investigate that.
Yes, yep. And by the time we come back in, we'll have more answers on that. And if we do a fire system, that'll be shown and this, like I say, we didn't want to come in too polished here. We want to be able to, have you guys have a chance to look
Right.
at it and then we can do our thing. So.
Well, it looks like you've done some pre-preparation.
Oh, we had to polish it a little bit to get to ZBA. So we did.
No, but I mean, my first impression was not great.
Yep.
Now that I see that the resetting and
Yep.
The changes and
I
stuff.
feel a lot better.
And so I'd like to note something. So at the ZBA meeting, they had a pretty extensive conversation about the fact that this is located near the high school. So they did have a lengthy conversation about trying to have hours of operation, maybe not conflict with, times that the bus arrives or leaves. So I just wanted to note that.
And once again, this will be a controlled and, type of, so when people are working on boats, they can look at school times and bring them all in at certain time. You normally it's a couple of 2 trucks that are bringing them back and forth. It's
They're not
like,
gonna,
yeah,
they're
you
not
don't-
gonna wanna get involved with the school buses
They
and
don't
everything
wanna-
else. I mean, you lose time and money.
Right. And they're not coming in and out in the winter anyways.
Right.
So,
And it's a
yep.
spring, fall, and that's it. And
And you don't have the
Yeah.
public doing this. It's not the public going in and
That's
out
right.
randomly.
Trying to back in there or
Yeah,
something.
thinking about that, would there be, do any of these places use them for other types of storage while the boats are out of there?
Oh, you mean once the buildings are empty?
Yeah,
Um,
say like for the summer, somebody wants to put a car and the cars in there or something like that.
yeah, I don't know if that, if, I don't think a lot of them, I think, sit empty, but
I know Andrew let him store the snow machine, the
Yeah.
groomer last year.
let's see, that's not a bad idea. But yeah, I mean, I would say that the problem is they're kind of set up with racks, so you're limited what you could get in.
Right,
You
just
could
the
put
center
something
aisle.
inside the building bay, the drive area itself, but now part of this, and I should mention it, is we do have outdoor storage, which is in behind the building. And
Is that those diagonals?
it's just gonna be, we didn't really
those are the-
strike it, but
those
it's
are
in
the
behind, it's the
contours.
gravel pad in behind the large building. And that's gonna be outdoor storage.
For like shrink wrapped.
It could be boats or RVs or something like that, so.
Because that was quite a change in grades as well as sloping down.
It is, yeah, and that was something,
Heavy
that's something we
chalky.
really gotta look at.
Now, those are contour lines.
Yeah, I see it now.
Pushing 2%.
Again, another 14 feet is the same as coming in.
And of course, by doing that, you don't have any ability to have a door on that easterly side of the building.
Right.
You're using the building wall as a retaining wall, but and that's definitely something we got to look at. We did do a cut and fill. Both we did it, and Dave has a program for earthworks that he did it himself. So we want to go back and redo it now, and with the plan we have, and kind of work that up. So
Trying to get it as balanced as you can.
balanced
Yeah.
and workable. So
How steep is that roof going to be? Because there's going to be a lot of snow coming off that.
we do try to put a like a large drip edge on like a 5-foot drip edge with 5x5 with stone. So that's part of our drainage feature.
No,
So
I was thinking about something
the sliding.
parked underneath it.
Yeah. We did
Flattened boat.
They'll only do it once.
we did the liquor store in Summersworth, and it was an old building, and the architect had designed anyways, but the snow sliding off, they have to block off parking spots in the winter because of the roof was there. It was already existed, but yeah, no, so that is definitely something that we'll look at. The roofs on these boat stores are pretty flat, and they're made to hold the snow rather than slide.
And there's no
off.
heat inside. So it's not going to
This-
tend to want to form
this-
an ice dam.
Not climate control.
Yeah.
Yep.
So not climate controlled, but could be tempered. Is that?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying they couldn't, but at this point, I believe would probably not. I think when they do that, they just keep it at 40 degrees at 50, just above freezing.
Yeah, it opens up a whole world of issues with energy code and,
Oh, okay.
and so it's something to think about now. All of a
All right.
sudden you've got to insulate those walls, the slab, and especially that elevated portion of the slab in that back corner. And yeah,
Okay,
I want to think about that one.
all right. I'll let the developer think on that one.
But yeah, I like the idea. I like the idea that
I think the ideas have been well expressed, and I've learned a lot.
Okay, good.
Thank you.
excellent. Thank you. And I don't think you should go very far. Aren't you next on the list?
No.
So we already,
I think I'm out of here.
He's done.
Did my job today.
oh yeah, I'm sorry, Brad Hunter, sorry.
Okay.
And
Brad Jones is all set.
the process, Brad, of just submitting the design review application and all that.
Absolutely, yeah. So that'll be
Well
next.
versed in that.
And whether it's next meeting or the meeting after, that's fine, right? So we will, I really appreciate your time tonight. and,
All right.
Thank you.
We'll back to the drawing boards and we'll be back.
All right.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Have a nice night, guys.
You too.
That one tucked away. So next on the agenda. Case P 04-09. Which is an old case, Pearson Road, New Hampshire 28. This is Baywind's 19 lot subdivision that was originally approved in 2004, 2005-ish.
Hey, Brad.
Thanks.
So Jess, you want to give us a quick background?
There's no quick background here.
Doesn't look like it.
This is the Reader's Digest version.
Yeah, so Brad's here again tonight. He was before us back in April. I've been talking with him and with Jim Sessler, trying to figure out how or if they could go forward with the existing 19 lot subdivision. So through my discussions with Brad and with Jim, Jim had suggested that I get as much information from Brad as I could. So that would help the board decide whether or not that there was some substantial activity that took place since the approval to kind of tie him into the approval. So in the meantime, Brad, you had provided all that information with the purchase and sale agreement, that you guys had to purchase a conservation easement as some mitigation to the subdivision. And you also had provided the discharge mortgage. So it looks like you've paid off that conservation easement. So in my talks with Jim, I'd asked him, I said, what are the things that I should be looking for? So what I looked at is I tried to get some sort of substantial activity that's taken place, so that hoping that we could keep that approval alive. Through the research, through the files, there were a couple of notices of decision. The original one that was back from November 22nd of 2005, and then you came in for an amendment in March 15th of 2011. Neither one of those notices of decision listed the need to have to obtain a conservation easement. Not saying that that wasn't required at a meeting, because it was, and it was in the minutes that you had to get one. But it's not tied to the notice of decision, either one of them. So that, in my opinion, couldn't be used as some sort of substantial activity that took place that ties you into the conditions that were approved. So it's up to the board tonight to look at the information that I had given them and to decide whether or not that your approval is still valid or if it's expired. So that's where we're at tonight. In my opinion, I feel like it's expired. But that's up to the board just to decide ultimately.
So the original approval was granted over 16 years ago.
Yeah, we got a final approval in, I think it was August of 2008. And I don't know if you remember what it was like in 2008.
It was dead.
Bottom fell out, everything.
It was not a good time to, start a project like this. So we didn't start it. And they extended the permits as long as I could. But, even with that, the economy still wasn't, at least in this area, wasn't good enough to start it until probably more like 2017, 2018. During that time, I had moved to Florida and have since moved back. So I was just talking, I was just talking to my old partner about it, and he, just thought this is really unfinished business for us, and we'd like to, do something. We're just not sure how difficult it will be to do something with it. So even if everything went smoothly, by the time you put all the costs in, building the road, and if we could do 19 lots, it's still, you'd still have to get quite a bit on the sale of each lot to make the cost to do this worth it. So I'm a little bit more inclined to explore, the idea of elderly housing or 55 plus community, something like that, where we could increase the density and defray some of that development cost. So if we have to go back and start from zero again, probably isn't gonna go anywhere.
I will say one thing, Drew, that happened in this particular case that I remember, that there were some errors made in early applications. And Brad and his attorney came in, and they were the ones that pointed out that there were errors made. They hired a new wetland scientist. went through that. They brought that to our attention when it was pointed out that we were questioning some of the wetlands. And I still think that conservation easement was a very positive thing. It may not have been directly tied, but it was certainly implied.
Yes.
So, I mean, to me, there is a benefit to the town in what was acquired. And there is some gain for the town. I'm just simply saying that there was something positive. Unfortunately, I've been here a long time.
No, it also puts, instead of land, it puts it on the tax map.
Yeah, and also, I mean,
Benefits
you know,
us too.
if they're thinking of something, I mean, you know, the idea of elderly housing, it's something that would sell very well.
Yeah.
And we did take a look at that when we met the elderly housing, and in the rural area, it's a minimum of 5 acres.
I'm not sure if there was a zoning change since this was approved, but these are 1 acre lots that were originally approved. I think even back then, the rural zone was 2 acre minimum,
acre.
I think. So I don't know. I guess I'm on the zoning of this.
Residential rural.
So that's 1 acre. Residential rural is 1 acre. I mean, because at one point, 28 was the dividing line between the rural
Right.
and the lakeshore residential. So we know it's not lakeshore residential.
Right.
So I would, but the requirement for elderly housing, you have to have a minimum of 5 acres?
Right, and
Oh.
actually residential rural, it's the same, 5 acres.
All right, and what do they have? What is that lot?
How big is this?
These are 1 acre lots.
So
No,
there's
but-
19 1 acre lots here,
Yeah,
So I mean, we're
plus
talking
whatever the
about.
roadway. it takes
right.
up,
It's a
yeah.
total of about 26 acres.
Oh, right there you go, yeah.
Well, my inclination is that all the reviews and approvals done 15, 16 years ago may not apply today and might, I think that there has to be a limit to kicking the can down the road. And I think we're may even be past that limit at this point. That's kind of my gut on it.
So what would be the problem of, seems like a lot of things may have changed since this was originally approved, and if it's not likely that you would do these single lots because it probably wouldn't work, you'd have to resubmit something totally different anyway, right?
Yeah, right. I don't know.
Start all over.
Yeah, and I think the simplest thing would be just revoke this whole thing, get it out of the way, and then just have a conceptual, come in with a conceptual, figure out what would work, and then go from there. And, you know, because it's got to work for you guys, money wise, right?
Yeah, right.
So I would think that would be the cleanest, and because we're
Physical
gonna
hasn't changed.
tie ourselves up in knots trying to undo all this.
Yeah.
And trying to make it fit what you want to do today. And I think it would take more time and aggravation to do it that way. I'd be kind of in favor of what Jessica wrote in here, is just so revoke it, you know, get that put to bed, and then just start fresh with what you really want to do.
Do you guys lose anything?
Well, it sounds like if we go to a 5 acre minimum and a density bonus of 3 per lot, we'd end up with 15 units, which is less than
Enough.
this, so.
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah,
not
but
gonna work.
If you went to a different, instead of individual lots, if you went to, you know, I don't know, something for the elderly or 55 plus, I guess, whatever you want to call it.
You're right, that is going to that, right? Because it's a density bonus of 3 to 1, right?
I'm not very familiar with the elderly housing section.
Yeah, it doesn't come before us very often.
I don't think it ever has. I'd have to really take
I
the
think
time.
last
to-
time was Julia. She
That's
did
5
the
acres
elderly
there.
housing up here.
Oh, Julia Peppermint.
Tract.
Yeah. Beverly. I think she was the last one with elderly housing here.
Density shall not exceed 3 dwelling structures per acre. So the overall density shall not exceed 3 dwelling structures per acre.
Oh, okay. Okay. I
So
misread
there
it
is the
then.
potential
So it's
here.
not per lot.
Correct.
Per acre, so
And I mean, you know,
about 45.
you could think of the concept of going in with something like urgent care and having them on site,
Right.
you know, and having, well, no, seriously. I mean, you could have some units, everyone can take care of themselves. And then there are other places where people need some help.
Sure.
You know, there's a need. There is a
We're all
big
getting
need.
there.
It would be, I think, highly popular, but, you know,
Yeah, a whole number of support facilities as well that are permitted to accompany an elderly housing. So there's,
and you would have, you know, things like Meals on Wheels. You'd have all the VA, all these other groups who would be supporters.
Right. Might be nice to have a clubhouse where some of those activities can take place.
absolutely. Yep.
Okay. Well, I have a little selling job on the other side that I have to do too. So-
You're getting gray, but you're not white yet.
So, so you've come before us requesting
Clarification?
how was this? What revival of it? Because it is technically expired. Or do we need to vote to that effect?
Well, the question is whether or not he had any investment involved. And to a degree, he does. So I would not want to abandon the fact that they have already contributed something.
Right.
Well, I think we can certainly acknowledge that there's been a contribution made, but what we can't do is tie it to the decision.
No,
So, so with that being said, we can't state that there was any substantial start to this development. The last approval expired in 2017, was it, or
Yeah, 2015.
2015?
6 years ago.
So I don't, do we have to make a vote and move, or do we?
Just expired, I would think.
Right. And so it just expired. Just
Yeah.
expires.
So the determination of the board, I think, is that this is expired. And I guess that was my question. Am I speaking for the whole board here? Do we have to actually have the board vote on
So
that?
you had some, Jessica had some wording about a revocation. You talked to Jim Sessler about that. How do you revoke
Right.
this? But if it's expired, then maybe is that the end of
Yeah.
the story?
So it still needs to be revoked because it got recorded.
Oh, because
I
it
see, to get
accidentally
it
was
off the-
recorded.
Yeah, it
That's
it
right.
got recorded
Okay.
prematurely by mistake. And so it shows up on the tax maps as 19 separate parcels, and you receive 19 separate tax bills.
Ah,
Oh, yeah.
So that
You
needs
get
to be
19,
revoked so that it just
so,
goes back to
so,
one lot.
so if we vote to revoke it tonight, then that clears it up, the tax map. That's one big piece of property that you still own. Is that correct?
I'm not the owner.
Or someone still owns that. And then you could come in with a new proposal that would be economical for you guys and go from there.
Yeah, if
Clean-
you want to
clean
pay the
slate.
surveyor and the engineers.
Yeah, but still, I
Start
mean,
all over
you
again.
can't really, probably wouldn't make money on this thing the way he's got it approved.
I guess what I was kind of hoping was if this was able to move forward the way it is, we maybe could just work on amending this plan and use some of the engineer that's already gone into it, but I don't
Well, I
really,
would
I don't
think
The
really know.
engineering hasn't changed.
Yeah, we should think it'd be all the stuff that was there, you can use to adjust the lines and stuff.
Then
know.
resubmit it.
And resubmit it.
Yeah.
And so this is off, if you go on Pearson Road, right?
Right off the end of it.
And Pearson Road does that have the senior center right on the end of it? Is that?
Yeah, on Wolfboro end, yes.
Yeah. So you'd just be going in and.
Right around, that goes, the water main runs all the way over to just below Hayman's old house on top of Bay Hill.
Yeah.
And that's, the right of way comes right down, right through the middle of it.
Right.
We run right under the road.
Yeah, so you'd have water,
And,
you'd have town water, right?
yep.
Sounds like a good idea, really.
But you would also have an access at the back of the storage units.
Right. Yep. Yeah.
So they
That,
have a deeded access for that.
Right. Yeah, I can see the storage areas.
Yeah, because you come right out onto Pearson Road, or no?
yes.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. It would really be just an extension of Pearson Road
Right.
with a
That's what I
connector
thought.
that goes out to Route 28.
To me, that just, maybe I'm missing something, but that would seem to be the right way to go, and it wouldn't be, all you have to do is rejuggle with the information you have, really.
Yeah.
But, you know,
That'd be easier.
investigating
Redesign.
the other alternatives. And I think there's some there. It would, think of it in terms of, it would be a wonderful site. Growing old, looking out on the lake.
Well, you can't really see the lake from there, but
Wow.
you can see the mountains.
Take a few trees.
Send a few technicians in.
Yeah, it's a good location.
Especially you get 3 per acre.
So should we be, tonight, should we be?
Would you have an objection to us revoking this? Do you have, I mean, is there,
to
No,
clean-
it is what it is.
Oh, but-
I don't know that if it is revoked, I don't know that anything is gonna transpire
Yeah.
after tonight, so. 'Cause
But
it took 5 years to get
even if
this
we just
approved,
ignored
so
it and say,
My partner, I don't think is gonna go another 5.
if we ignored it and just said.
Oh, I know,
that's
yeah. No,
expired,
I'm looking for the
we're in
right,
the
the
same
right
boat,
thing.
Really. Yeah.
I'm not asking for a favor.
Okay. I don't think it would make a difference for you whether we acted or we didn't act.
Right.
But for our purposes, to clean up this thing that's already been filed and you're getting 19 tax bills every year. Or so whoever owns it's getting 19 tax bills. That's not what's there on the ground, and it shouldn't be that way.
Right.
I would, planning board options. I guess in order to do this, do we have to do a public notice of it? I think we just, how does this work? You tell me.
It's so the RSA is very vague on the process
Okay,
of the actual,
course it is.
like hearing to have the board revoke a plan. So it doesn't tell you the process. It just states that if a plan is approved and it lists different criteria as to why a plan would be revoked. And it just says at the request of, or by agreement with the applicant or the applicant's successor in interest. So that's the only thing it refers to is, so it's just a request from the applicant or applicant successor, just requesting a plan to be revoked.
Yeah.
And so the board would just make a motion. And then there's all kinds of stuff I have to do afterwards and
Okay.
posting it.
so
and
to
whatnot.
get this started, is I can make a motion that I think we ought to revoke this.
Yes.
Approval for this site plan of 6, whatever it is.
Why, you don't think there's a way we can work this to allow them to keep the subdivision and do the elderly housing with what he's already put through?
I think he's gonna have to, right now, he's got individual lots with one house on each one. And in order to change that, he'd have to come in and show a set of plans of what he's actually going to do. right?
So no matter what, he's got to take those 19 lots and unsubdivide them.
Yeah, but if he was gonna build elderly housing, it's 3 buildings per acre. Now that's already set up for 19 lots.
But it's a minimum 3 acres,
5 acres.
minimum of
Right.
5 acres for the elderly housing.
So
So
he might be able to get three units with with 3 5-acre pieces, maybe 4.
You have to erase some boundary lines, but
But,
but
yeah,
maybe
you just
some of them
join
could
certain
stay
So what-
attached.
what you're
it's
thinking
starting
of
all
in a
over again
sense,
anyway. And
5 acres times 3, that's 15 on each unit. That would do something.
And we have
I
to,
disagree. If it took them 5 years to do it the first time, to have to go through it again another 5 years, there's gotta be a way we can work something out.
well, we have to get off the tax maps too, the fact that this has not been done.
Well,
That
Yeah,
what,
but he could come in and use 19 acres and say, all right, this is what I'm gonna do, combine this one. I'm gonna keep 3 1-acre lots and combine these 5 over here. Which you'll have to come back in front of the board anyways.
right. But I mean, I don't think there's a difference in, it doesn't seem like it's a difference in the amount of work that needs to be done.
It
to get
really isn't. It's a major change, no matter how you go about this.
Yes.
It's a major change, which is going to require a full startup with the whole review process. And I'm sorry it took 5 years first time around. I think it shouldn't take that long.
no, it shouldn't have. And I know where the fault lies. So
It seems
So-
like lot consolidations, to Virgil's point, would be a lot easier than starting
over.
from scratch.
Right. That's what I'm talking about. Keep what you got and say, all right, I'm gonna use put these 5 together over here. So it's 1 5-acre lot, but I'm gonna keep 3 in between them and then put another 5 over here.
Right, but these 19 lots should never have been recorded in the first place as well.
We've got a lot of that.
Yes, we do have.
I can
and
name
we're-
4 or 5 of them.
You know, the
off
idea is
top
to
of my
clean
head.
this up and make things correct.
If they're recorded. If those are recorded, then it should be already done and subdivided. If those are recorded by the town.
Yeah.
Then it should automatically be a subdivision. There's nothing the town can do about it.
Except for no substantial improvements have occurred within the time period in the decision, so it voids the decision.
Right. The substan, that's why
Exactly.
that's in
There were
there.
conditions that were attached to that approval and they haven't been met. It's not like it wasn't
I didn't read any of
existing.
that. I didn't read any of that in here, the condition.
I think the question was if the mitigation property counted as a substantial start, which whether this, no matter what happens to that, that stays in effect.
that was a substantial investment.
Yeah,
And it was, and that was Jim's point, that if that was part of the approval, then that could be tied into that, but it's not.
Do we have the stuff that was part of the approval?
So we have the.
So you probably,
Because I didn't
yes,
see
it's
that.
in that packet. There's a notice of decision dated November 22nd, 2005. There's actually 3 notices in that packet.
Right.
Said it was 2005 or 2011.
2005 was the first one, and then 2011 was the amended subdivision.
Did you mark the trees along the 25-foot buffer?
yeah.
Right? Nope, be added to the plat, state erosion control,
We didn't do any erosion control.
no drainage easements.
Nope.
And there was conditions for providing drainage improvements and security for road improvement. No. you didn't do that.
Security was not provided.
They extended it to 2012.
Yep. It had many extensions. The last one was a request in 2014 and it was extended to 2015.
That's it,
for-
that's it.
For construction to commence, and it had not. And that was the last request since recent.
It says right in the approval, they to register it with the county deeds. So I think it's easier to work with what you got than
Yeah, I think that taking a fresh approach to the whole thing 16 years later is the appropriate way to go.
I disagree with that. If the town register that with the registry of deeds, that subdivision should be all done with. I mean, for
Yeah, but
us to go and pull a subdivision out 16 years later up there,
Yeah. But you
it should have been pulled.
can't pick and choose which parts of our rules we're going to follow and which ones we're not. So that the start of substantial work never occurred on this property, ever. And numerous opportunities have been extended to allow it to keep going. And then the last one lapsed 6 years ago.
Right.
But you've had a
With
case,
nothing,
had a case come in front of us where it's registered with the deed, county deeds, and we allowed the building to go on, and that was put in years ago. And it was never touched or brought up or anything, and we said, yeah, you can do that.
no.
I don't want to mention names, but I'm
Yeah, well-
it's come in front of us, and we've done that
Perhaps that's true. And
without
you know,
pulling his subdivision.
I can't say
That's
that
why
I
I'm
was on the
wondering-
board when that happened.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes, you were chair.
I was chair. And we allowed an expired,
The subdivision was put through years ago, but nothing's ever been done with it. The road and nothing into it. And we allowed the building permit and the road going up into it. That's why I'm trying to
perhaps you
figure
can
out
refresh my memory after this meeting about
here
that.
on, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm sure that there was other conditions worth considering there. Something this old and expired for now 6 years, I'm struggling with. So, but I do believe we had a motion from Russ.
Yeah, I think I was trying to pick up on, under planning board options, under RFSA 676:4A, revocation of recorded approval. And that we can publicize that we intend to do that, right? And we don't necessarily have to have a hearing. We can just say we're planning on doing that and look for comments.
Right, so the board would make a motion to revoke the subdivision and then that decision gets posted.
And that part gets posted.
Yep.
Now, let me ask you this, Jess, can
I haven't
somebody
finished
come
making my
in?
motion yet.
Can somebody come in and ask for a hearing?
Yes, they could.
They can.
Yeah, oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so there's an appeals process.
Right, within 30 days after that's posted. There's a set of criteria that I have to follow.
And so I would make a motion that we do that revocation of this subdivision approval of a recorded approval. And follow the procedures outlined in under planning board options. And let me just comment on that. I don't believe that that it would be any more work for the applicant to reconfigure what would be a successful subdivision today for him. That could be financially successful using existing data that they used originally. Yes, it could be it'd probably be a major site plan, I'm sure, but all the hard work's been done. It's just a matter of figuring out financially what's going to work, and then submit that for approval here. I don't see why that wouldn't get approved. And then that cleans up all those old lots that shouldn't have been recorded in the first place, and puts down what's actually going to happen today. So it makes it clean. That's just my explanation. So.
Okay, so we have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'd like to make a discussion of something, which is, you know.
You got a second.
Can I second it for discussion?
I'll second it. But my question is this, an investment of $32,000 was made in a conservation easement. There needs to be some credit or some way of registering this as a credit to the applicant. It can't be forgotten. That's an investment that was given to the town. So I don't know how you deal with that. And that's the question that I have is.
It's an important investment.
Why
Well,
not? Why not apply it to the same amount of land is going to be involved with, say he goes ahead with a reconfigured development, same amount of land is being involved. Conservation easement that would set aside back then can satisfy this one.
True. But the question then was also, Brad said he didn't know whether or not he was going to be able to go forward with anything with his partner. Because of it, the time factor that was involved in the beginning. I mean, we've been moving along a whole lot faster, I'll guarantee you.
Yes.
You know, I would not want to discourage you from an application because a lot of the rules have been rewritten to make them simpler, to make them clearer.
Been a lot of work on that.
And I mean, it was done at the request of Jim Sessler because we had one thing that said B over here and there was A over in this ordinance and there was C in something else. And, you know, you got to get it all saying the same thing. So we've spent quite a bit of time in getting our ordinances organized. And if you have the right guide, I think life would be much simpler.
So my question, Tom, is, was there an amendment to the motion?
No amendment was, I didn't make an amendment. I'm bringing out a point which I think is important.
Okay.
And I'm simply saying that it cannot be forgotten that there is a credit that has come from this applicant.
I would make the argument that back when this was done, it was seen fit to have a conservation easement on a piece of property as part of this whole approval.
It was mitigation.
It was mitigation, right? And
But the fact that it's not in the paperwork, I'm shocked at. I really am.
But what I'm saying is that was done, and that's all part, that would be part of this approval, that conservation easement as mitigation for this project satisfies that.
Right. I have a question for you though. What happens if Brad is not able to go forward?
I don't know. It would be, I would think that he might want to try to redress that and say, how do you get that removed? I don't know. Once you get a conservation easement, on a piece of property, it's difficult to get it off.
That's perpetuity.
Right. So I don't know. I don't know the answer to that.
Okay.
But I'm saying if he does decide to go ahead, we could note that this satisfies that what the mitigation, what was needed back then, it's needed today. It's all satisfied because it's already been done.
So we'll make that part of the record.
Right. Just
I was trying to
how
figure out if you could tie it to the motion in any way was what I was thinking, and
Oh, I see.
I can't think of how.
Well, but I don't know. I don't think we would do that. It would be, the time to do that and make that part of the record would be when we approve the new configuration.
Right, but
I just-
at least I want to get it into the minutes.
Tom
so
doesn't
it's
want
not
us to lose
forgotten.
sight of it next time he's before us. So. Okay, any more discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Aye.
4-1. Revoked.
Okay,
Thank you for your time.
thank you.
I hope it works out. I hope you can
Yeah,
figure it out.
I think you actually have a potential here
It
to,
always will work out, one way or the other.
Yep.
Determination.
well, thank you.
Thank you, Brad.
thank you.
Thank you, Brad.
All right. Are you here for like public input? Oh, okay.
I figured you could join the board. Project on Main Street.
Yeah, that was case, which one was that?
Oh,
The,
Oh,
case P
that way.
2123.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
Wilbert Way. Yeah, that he wanted.
There's a reason for it, and I think I understand it. I was educated, but it's not something that can be talked about.
yeah.
Oh, okay. So
He'll be in
have
next
you
month.
had discussion in open session about the project?
No, it has not
Not
come
yet.
before the board yet.
Oh, okay.
So-
See, I didn't know if it had or not. So I was like, well, I saw it on the agenda and I was like, okay, well, let me go check on that. And so I was just gonna say, I'm sorry for my ignorance and not knowing, but I
Oh.
didn't know. So that was really why I was here. Where are we on this?
So,
And if you can't discuss it, that's okay. I was just wondering if it had been discussed and, you know.
You can come discuss it with me.
Yeah, you can go in private and talk to her.
Anytime you want to join.
Always looking for
Take
good members.
Cases we can't talk about. You can talk to Jessica about
Right.
anything.
Okay,
Yeah.
yep, okay. Well, thank you.
And three of us can't be together anywhere,
Yes.
because that's four of us can't be together anywhere. That's a quorum.
Well, and I've been like, you see me around a little bit more, so I'm like, heading and hawing, and I'm like, well, I just really want to go. Of course, public input's at the end. I heard right at the
Well,
beginning that
also
it
you
wasn't going to be heard, but I said, well, you know what? Let's just get a little bit of education. It's always
What are
good.
you doing on Tuesday night?
So thank you.
All
all
right.
right, thanks.
Go.
So we have,
Always welcome here.
Thank you.
Yeah,
I'll just go
always.
back and sit because I'll wait if you're almost done anyway.
yeah, we got a few more things to run through. So we, under old business CIP committee update.
Yes. So I'll speak on behalf of the CIP committee. So Ruben Parker, he is our new budget committee rep. And Patrick O'Brien was our budget committee rep and he would like to stay on as a citizen member. And we want to keep him. So if you can just take a look at his application and approve,
I
make
make
a
a
motion to approve it.
motion that we approve Patrick O'Brien for CIP citizen member.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
He's a smart kid.
Any discussions?
It's obviously he served on the budget committee and the water commission.
I was on the water board with him and stuff.
So he has some idea how life evolves.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, and he's been on budget committee for
Mhm.
quite a few years. Yes. Well, it gives you,
Well, it also is, it's nice to see younger people stepping forward.
She does.
well, it gives you a different perspective.
All right, so we have motion, we have a second, we've had discussion. Anything else? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Hi,
Opposed? None.
New member.
New member.
did you say Kelly Sullivan, new member?
the-
She's already doing a fair bit
Yeah.
of work for us, so don't push it.
So master plan committee update.
You want to give an update?
Yeah, so does everybody have this summary or?
If you
Yes.
hadn't picked it up, you have it as of tonight, or
Novel.
it's on Dropbox.
So we're gonna, we got a lot of input. And Tara, our consultant, has done a good job of sifting through it and organizing it and then making, things like the word cloud, and who responded, do you own property in Alton? Do you vote in Alton? All these different categories. Pretty good response, like 800 and something.
Yeah, over 800. Yep.
But the last 50 pages, which is section 3, are comments, you'll get dizzy reading them all, but it's worth reading them all. And I dare you to try to do it in one sitting.
Right. So what Tom is, I believe, Tom, you're doing is
I'm working on an inventory for it.
you're doing some sifting.
An index.
Of that,
Yeah.
so that's a little more digestible.
I'm
But-
leaving here Friday morning, so I'll leave you with what I've done up until Thursday night. And then you can go through my hand scratches and at least get an inkling of where it's headed.
Guys,
So if you look at this word cloud that you did.
you should feel good because you got more people than voted.
I know.
That's true.
Well, I have to say, I think we really tried to reach out and we actually called people and said, you got to fill this thing out and you got to tell your friends to fill this thing out. And we divided up the town into little neighborhoods and every
Seemed to have
neighborhood got
worked.
called. So I don't know if we could have done any better to get any more. But if you look at the words here, the bigger the word, the more times it was mentioned. And that's kind of a fun thing to look at. We were going to have some workshops on, I don't know who the heck invented Friday nights, but we got very poor enthusiasm.
5 responders.
Very poor enthusiasm for the workshop. So
Thank you.
we said, we're not going to be deterred. We've got really good input. We're going to use it in our next
This is
meeting
work-
is
this
October,
worked good.
is October 6th.
See those last pages and how many listings there are? in those?
That's what I was looking at earlier. It was down through here.
And I think that one of the
That's
nice,
why I'm doing an index, because there's so many.
one of the nice things about this, the way Tara led this, is there was no leading questions.
Yeah.
In the survey. It was all, what do you think? What do you think about the way it is? And what do you think about what it should be? And that's about it. And I think it's something that if we can distill it over the next, probably next meeting or two, I would think, of the master plan committee, we can actually have some tease out of this, what the direction we have gotten concerning the
And
various.
goals that we have to work to.
Yes, and and then the trick is, what tools would you employ in order to get to those things to happen? Okay, so I don't want to get into specifics like we need more of this or we need more of that. None of that right now. It's just simply, what did we hear and how are we going to respond to it? And I think we want to be true to this. I really do. Now, Bob Regan is going for surgery, I believe, and he's not going to be available. So he's going to meet with me and tell me what he wants me to do. And I'm gonna try to, I'll work with you guys to, try to bring what he
When
thought
is he
was.
scheduled?
It's like the next Monday or something like that, October 6th.
Serious?
Oh, I can't tell you. It's the same night that we're supposed to meet, I think, right?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's what he said. yeah.
So October 6th was that Wednesday?
It's a Wednesday.
Yeah, so that's the next time we're meeting.
Mhm.
That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm excited about it. I think it's, just looking at it, there's a lot of good stuff here. I really do think we got a good cross section of both residents and non-residents and all parts of the
Get
town.
both sides of the issue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think one of the things, though, just as I've been thinking about this ought to be made as soon as possible available to the public.
Already on it.
Yeah.
There's,
Well, it's on the website for right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think it's extra important to make it available as soon as possible because it's their input. So we want them to see right away.
Yep.
We asked you for this information. This is what we're doing with it. We've compiled it and these are our next steps.
Yeah, but give them
To
the raw,
keep them involved.
but give them the raw data.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I don't want to have already started going
No,
in some
no, this
direction.
is
No, but-
what you said.
Yeah.
Here it is, and we're still moving forward with
Yeah.
this.
I guess I have a question for Virgil on this. My question would be, there's some answers in there that are pertinent to highway department, electric company. Should we circle those and make them available to them? I mean, we're not trying to criticize.
I think, yeah.
But I mean, I think in some cases, people are going to want that. I mean,
I-
there are probably 12 or 13 mentions in there of a second grocery store and the actual words of a market basket.
Yeah, because Hannaford's a thieves.
Hannaford's what?
A thieves. They got it triple mine.
All right, all right.
All right, all right.
I
all
think,
right.
yes, I think
Okay, I
the
think
highway
we've gone off
department.
subject.
and I think
So,
It's not much for the highway.
and electric and stuff.
There's
I
a
think-
bunch for the police.
all right,
But I think,
all right, guys.
I think they would,
So-
want to see those comments.
I think that we're right. I think we need to circulate those, the raw data, as you put it. I think that makes, let's not, I mean, we're trying to be as transparent as we can
Absolutely,
here. So,
absolutely. And I think that people want to see what other people have said.
yep,
Yes.
absolutely.
Well, it can only better the departments.
Absolutely.
And
I
I'm,
see
and
it,
I'm
you
proud
know.
of our efforts. So I want that on record too.
I think I think you guys have done a great job to get this many respondents and stuff. I think that's
I
fantastic.
think the biggest difference between this and anything else that we've done prior is that mailing. And we did a lot of personal, face-to-face phone calls,
Yep.
but that mailing was really significant because it went to people's house. So actually seeing a mailing, it came to your house and having us follow up or as a precursor to that mailing, to let people know, I think that was huge.
Agreed.
Good job, guys.
All right,
Sure.
great. Thank you, Russ.
Yeah.
So we also have the invoice from
Tara,
Tara.
it's $1,500 or something like that.
Yeah.
I tell you, she's been,
$1,950 total.
Yeah, she's been very.
she's
efficient.
earned her money because the input she has given us. I mean, a lot of it's been Zoom or whatever else, but I mean, it's been to the point and in Scott and I differ on this a lot, but from Scott's point of view, there were no weighted questions. As what Russ said, no questions were asked, except what's your opinion? What do you think could be improved? No, nothing leading
Really, what do
about
you like
land,
what do you
roads
like
or
about
anything.
Alton? What do you think you'd like to see different?
Yeah, I mean, so that it was wide open. And as if you read through some of those things, you'll see, I mean, there's some things that just don't apply, but
Right.
No, she, from her point of view, from my point of view, her work has been, she's corralled us and kept us in the great direction. She is very quick to say, no, we're not talking about that right now. Yeah, you got to stick to what we're trying to get done here.
She's
you
worth
know?
the money then.
yes.
Every
yes.
penny.
So circling back, we need to vote on this.
You don't.
Oh,
It's
good.
just for your information.
Good.
Just so you know what's what.
Well, I was going to approve it, so.
I was gonna vote for it.
Jack?
Zach committee update?
Really, we look at each other.
I
Yeah,
haven't been at a meeting.
Yeah.
yeah.
I missed
I
one.
guess somehow I got bamboozled into being vice chair, didn't I? So I could,
Okay.
yeah, so I don't have any notes or anything with me to just discuss this. But
Drop it off.
we have had a phenomenal input focused on short-term rentals. A lot of community involvement in that. We've addressed a number of other items.
Airbnb,
Excuse me?
the Airbnb. you mean?
It's
Yeah,
like,
which-
Yeah.
Yeah, that sort of thing, exactly. So Jessica's done a lot of research in
Short term.
surrounding towns.
not long-term.
Right. So Jessica's done a lot of research in surrounding towns. One of the people from the town that was here the other night even made a reference to Woodstock, Vermont, that has a much softer approach, but still controlling. And I did do the research on that. I don't know if you've had a chance. You've been busier than a
I
one-armed
haven't,
paper
but I had a
hanger.
chance to research insurance companies.
So that's good.
So
Sounds exciting.
So there's, there's obviously there's two sides. There's a real benefit to having short-term rentals in
Oh, yes.
town. But there's also a lot of abuse of short-term rentals that occurs. So how do you control that without strangling it? And I actually,
Had constituents come into the meeting and
yeah,
complain about it.
oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Yep.
And they,
We have participants who come
yeah.
for the meeting.
so we have, I think we have a lot more work to do on this to really kind of fine tune this. We'd had kind of an outline concept going of maybe where we're going to go with it, but after hearing all the feedback, we're going to tweak that some, I think. And the Woodstock, Vermont was a great example. It's really, it is cut and dry. It requires them to provide proof of insurance and limitations on, the renters. If you've got a 3-bedroom house, well, there's only 2 people per bedroom. That's your limit. So there's certain things that I think are worth us taking a good hard look at. and
Because we know
incorporating.
we'll be sued.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
Just one thing, I think it was in North Conway, that they, something about that apartments, some people's apartments that they're living in full time. The leases have been revoked or, expired on the people. And then they divide them up into and use them as Airbnbs because they make more money.
Well,
But
yeah.
now you've thrown these people out of their apartment and it's tough to get apartments.
Yeah.
Is that an issue as well in this whole thing?
It's definitely all part of the discussion that the more rental units that are turned over to the short-term rentals means that there's less affordable housing for the workforce here in Alton.
Because the alternative was dealing with a very strict system, which I'm losing track of my thought here. It would have required absolute permits and fire inspections to make sure you have something that's safe, first of all. And how do you enforce it?
Yeah, the enforcement becomes a big
Yeah.
issue. And so,
Okay.
And I think we definitely have a good start with that, though.
yeah. And of course, there are other items with the, kind of Jessica's done an amazing job of going through the zoning. And
There's a
and
handout here
finding
of
those,
the proposed changes that we'll be bringing to you soon.
yeah, but the,
You get to do all
I
this
have some if you
exciting
want to
work.
keep that.
but
You're jealous.
finding those little conflicts within our zoning ordinances has got to be mind-boggling. But anyway, that's the ZAC committee update, I guess.
Oh, keep it. I have extra copies.
Well, that's good. I hope the people that come
But you
in,
can see all the different
See it
changes.
so
we're
they know that-
making and-
we're trying to do something.
Yeah,
Yes,
they-
and they were actually, there was
Good.
about 12 people that showed up at our first ZAC meeting, which included the 2 gentlemen that were here at a planning board meeting.
Oh, good.
And then at the subsequent ZAC meeting, they were here again. And
So
they
they
did
know it's
thank
being
us for
worked
being
on.
And
very
then we
aware
invited
of,
them to
They were-
participate.
they were very appreciative that we're
very much so.
taking this seriously.
Trying to look into it and
Yeah.
try to do something.
I've
The hell?
spoken, sorry, can I public input for a second?
Sure, public input.
So I've spoken to two people just this week alone that are buying property just as rental. They're not even living in the state.
Yeah.
And that's the problem. Historically, we are obviously a tourist area. There are short-term rentals,
But
but it is really truly becoming a business.
But
Oh, yeah.
And that is a huge.
when you,
concern.
how do I want to say it? When you're harming the neighbors, more or less with the noise and more than what the house is supposed to have in
I
it.
spoke to another person yesterday, and this was, I spoke at the meeting, and it was a long-term resident, sold the house, the person that bought it just rented out this whole year. They've only owned it for the year. They rent it all year long, and they have their septic pumped every week. Because, and they're right.
So many
on-
people.
They're up on they're up in the association on a pond.
Yeah, but I mean, and then there's a huge difference between those people who have a B and B and who live on site.
Right.
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 And
I
that's
mean,
what I'm,
there's
that's
never,
what I'm saying.
never a
Yeah.
problem with those.
So I understand where people would get upset because like a lot of people have, property and they rent it out occasionally to offset tax or something, and I'm okay with that. But the town does need to do something because it is changing and
Getting bigger and
evolving.
bigger, yeah.
And
Short term is a lot different than, let's say, a minimum of 2 weeks or where we go down in Florida, minimum is a month.
Right.
Well, they advertise it on TV, Verbo
Oh, yeah.
and Airbnb, they advertise on TV.
Yeah,
"Hey,
somebody
buy-
said there
buy
were
a camp
300
and
units.
Rent it every weekend and make
One
a
of the
ton of
people
money.
who was here who
People see that and say, "Hey."
does Airbnb was saying that she knows that at
That's
least
right.
300 units,
And there's probably way more than that.
Oh, yeah, there's got to be more.
I mean, that's what she knew.
Still a
of.
lot.
It's crazy, crazy.
And she
money
was the one
potential.
that provided us with the information about the insurance and the information in Killington.
Yep.
So she was being very honest and straightforward, even though that's her part of her business.
Okay.
But she's trying to do it the right way. So
And I'm sure a lot of them are probably trying to do it the right way, but they don't realize what's really goes on. 'Cause
no, exactly. If you're not there and you just have a manager, at least there has to be somebody who's responsible.
somebody that, right.
All right.
We figured they had to be
Okay.
able to arrive within
we
15
need to be
minutes of a
quicker, a
call.
little
We'll
quicker.
pick that up at the next ZAC meeting. And moving right along, we have the approval of our meeting minutes from last month.
I make a motion that we approve August 17th, 2021 minutes.
I wasn't there.
A second, Bill?
Oh, I'll second that.
I have a change on page 5. Just a misspelling. One, two, three, four, fifth paragraph down. The sentence says the area depicted on the plan that showed aerating wall. It's a retaining wall.
Page 5,
Fifth paragraph down.
5th paragraph.
Aerating should be a retaining.
So it just drew to my attention something that I had not caught earlier. Our pages are numbered 1 of 15, 3 of 15, 5 of 15, 7 of 15. So
Well, there we go.
Maybe you're missing something.
You only gave us half the
Evidently, I didn't
minutes.
copy
I got-
those,
I
right?
got 50% of it. So we could just correct the numbering as well. So with that page 5, was that numbered page 5 at the bottom?
5.
Okay.
You only have to read half of it.
I said, how do we get 15 pages?
Seems awfully thin.
So we have a motion. Did we have a second?
Yeah, Bill.
Bill seconded. All right. Any other comments? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
One abstention.
Aye. And 1 abstention.
Clearly, I need assistance in the office.
Next under new business, NHMA webinar coming up, Housing Appeals Board.
Yes, this should be a really great webinar. I know we're probably all getting tired of watching webinars on the computer, but this one is actually supposed to be pretty informative, and it talks all about what is the Housing Appeals Board? What do they do? How do they function? how do you get to it? And it's actually really just an alternative so that people don't have to go directly to Superior Court. After they leave the ZBA and they've done all their appeals, they can go to this Housing Appeals Board or, pay more money and wait longer and appear before the Superior Court. So it's really just, they're not taking the place of it. It's just another option.
Now I see a full-time planning secretary. Amelia leave already?
Yes, so Amelia has resigned and I'm currently looking for
Rough on the help.
a replacement.
What?
Says she must be rough on the help.
Terrible.
Yeah, I never saw them laugh or get along at all.
And then unfortunately, my first, reflex is, well, maybe Melinda from the building department can help out, but she's buried too.
We are.
I'm of the opinion that there should be either a part-time or a full-time assistant to the building inspector for just to
Oh,
inspect.
they're busy this year. This year and last year, it's just
Yeah, it's crazy.
unbelievable.
Yeah.
So spread the word.
Well, we could fill in, we could let Tom go down for a few hours, then Russ.
Yeah.
Right. I was gonna see if you could apply for that job full time.
I'm
Get it done.
3-4 hours left in the day for me. So.
Good time.
There you go.
Who needs to sleep?
Correspondence for the board's review and discussion. You have any?
No,
No. Public input on non-specific planning issues.
I appreciate
Sure,
everything.
now
that-
she don't want to talk. Now she don't want
Well,
to
I
talk.
would like to state though that I've dealt with a couple of planners before and Jessica is like actively participates and it's actually very.
She does a good
welcoming.
job.
And I did say that to her, but now it's on record.
Make sure you get that in
We're
your
proud
notes.
to have her.
thank you.
We should be, so.
We made the right pick.
All right, with that, I'll entertain a motion.
I move, we move.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, aye.
Virgil, was that you second? Did you second
Yes.
that? Okay, let me shut off.
Remember this shit tomorrow night too.